I'm standing on the outside of Cedar Grove Cemetery in New Bern, North Carolina. It's morning, and the sunlight is reflecting off some of the granite tombstones. This is the best time to be here. There's lots of these trees. I think they're cedar trees. And these trees give a lot of shade in the graveyard. At one time, people came to this graveyard on Sundays, and this was where they came for relaxation. They would sometimes bring their lunches here, and they would sit on the tabletop graves to have their picnic lunch. It's a very relaxing place. This is what is known as the Weeping Arch. There is a legend of the Weeping Arch, that the next person who walks under the archway and a drop of water falls on them, then they will be the next person to die. It's an old legend. We're coming into the entrance to Cedar Grove Cemetery. This is a beautiful pathway of oyster shells. It's very cool here this morning. There was a lot of dew last night and a fog on the river, so it's pretty cool out here. This is a poster of the famous people who are buried in Cedar Grove Cemetery. Of course, there's Bayard Wooten, who is my photographic mentor. There's Caleb Bradham, who is the inventor of Pepsi-Cola. There's John Stanley, who figures very prominently as a wealthy man in colonial New Bern. Then there's William Gaston, who is interesting because he is a Catholic who became very important in state government, and he lived in New Bern. And this is Robert Ransom, who figures somehow in the Civil War. Okay, I'm going to go and take a walk with you. I like to see the sun hitting the old brick and the old marl, what they call the marl. This grave is interesting because it seems to be have the Star of David, which is probably a very interesting story. I just don't know it. Okay, now when we turn to the right, you'll see what is interesting to me is the graves of the Taylor family, who are famous in New Bern for being the ancestors of the singer James Taylor. These are the headstones of Isaac Taylor and his wife Hannah. This is Phoebe Taylor, who is one of the old maid aunts who would not let the Union soldiers up into the 4th floor of their home. This is Catherine Taylor. And this must be the mother-in-law, which she's on the floor, basically speaking. And Mary Atmore, who was the first owner of the Atmore Oliver House after Isaac Taylor bought it for her as a wedding present. Okay, let's see who we're missing back here. Frances, she's one of the old maid aunts.